What's up guys, it is Joseph Rakic here from josephrakicfitness.com. Today in this video I'm going to be taking you through my keto diet. Now as most of you know, if you follow me on social media, I've just recently started a ketogenic diet. Now I've never been a fan, I've got asked this question many times on Instagram and Twitter. Joseph, what do you think about the keto diet? And I've always said it sucks and I hate it. Reason being because when you're on a keto diet, there's no carbohydrates. You basically remove an entire food group, and I don't really believe in eliminating foods, especially an entire food group. So do I recommend the ketogenic diet for most people? No, I do not. However, I'm trying it out myself and I'm seeing how I go. So basically a ketogenic diet is a diet that is super low in carbs, basically no carbohydrates at all, only trace carbs from vegetables or the trace carbs found in nuts and stuff like that. You roughly want to be under 40 or 50 grams of carbohydrates, trace carbs per day, moderate amounts of protein, moderate to high, and then super high amounts of fat. So instead of buying your carbohydrate sources and instead of using your carbs for your energy, your body's going to be running off fat and ketones. So a lot of the foods that you end up buying are stuff like butter, avocados, bacon, fatty fish, and all that kind of stuff. Now, the human body needs protein and it needs fat, your essential amino acids and your essential fatty acids. There's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate, so the body doesn't need carbs at all. However, that doesn't mean carbs are not optimal or beneficial to have in your diet, depending on what your goals are. So for the majority of people, I do not recommend that you go on a ketogenic diet. However, I'm trying this out, I'm seeing how I go, and I'm seeing how my body performs and runs off dietary fat. Now, the main reason that I'm doing keto is not really for my body composition goals. It makes no difference if you're on a keto diet, a low carb diet, a high carb diet, if calorie intake is equal. There's going to be no difference. But the reason I'm doing keto is because it's better for brain function, cognition, so the way I learn and process information, better for my mood, better for my skin, and it keeps my energy level stable. When you're consuming carbohydrates, your energy's up and then down, up and then down. With keto, your body's always constantly on a stable energy level, so you're always constantly, a high energy output. So that is the benefits of keto, and that is why I am trying out this ketogenic diet. So as you can see here, my food choices are pretty limited, so no carbohydrates at all, no oats, no sushi, and no fruit. And those are three of my favorite foods. So I'm not too sure how long I'm going to be on keto. I'm just trying it out. And if I feel the benefits from the increased mood, better skin, and better brain function, cognition, more productive through the day, then I might be doing keto for a little longer. At the moment, I'm about 3 days into keto, so my body's probably not fully adapted into keto yet, so I cannot give you my honest opinion how I like keto or if I don't like keto. But I'm going to stay on this for 1 week, and then I'm going to test my ketones, which is you can just buy a little strip from your pharmacy or something and you pee on that, and if it turns a certain color, you're in ketosis. So in about a week's time, I'll test to see how deep I am in keto, and then if I'm liking the effects of this diet, I'll continue doing it for a lot longer. If I don't, I'm going to stop. However, now there's lots of studies out on the internet which proves that I'm not going to be biased. I'm going to give you the honest information that I know. I'm not pro ketogenic diet, so all the information that I'm providing you guys is the honest truth. Now there's lots of studies out on the internet that say a ketogenic diet, you're going to build a lot more muscle and lose a lot more body fat on a ketogenic diet compared to a high carbohydrate diet of the modern Western person. So a lot of these pro-ketogenic people post up these studies and say, yeah, look, the ketogenic diet produces more muscle growth and more fat loss compared to the high-carb diet. But what they don't realize, or what people don't realize, is they're actually comparing a keto diet compared to the diet of a normal man, the normal Western diet, which is high in carbohydrates. So their protein intake is something around like 60 or 80 grams per day. They're not actually comparing a keto diet compared to a high protein and high carb diet as most bodybuilders or people trying to gain muscle or lose body fat will be following. So the information is pretty cherry picked, I would say. However, my honest opinion, I don't believe keto is as beneficial as building muscle compared to a diet that is high in carbohydrates. Reason being because when you consume carbs, your body releases insulin, and insulin is hugely anabolic. Now, obviously, when you're on keto, your carbs are low, insulin's low, and the lower your insulin, the more growth hormone there is. Now, this is the same thing with the guys at intermittent fasting. All the people who are really big on intermittent fasting say, oh, you know, if you fast for 16 hours and you don't eat, it has a huge increase in growth hormone levels. Which, yeah, that is true, but if you look at the bigger picture of things, an increase in growth hormone levels from fasting for a long amount of time is not really going to make much of a big difference in the bigger picture of things, especially like when they come at the point from, yes, your growth hormone is so much higher, you're going to be so much more anabolic, but what they don't realize is you're fasting for 16 hours. Now, if you're consuming calories in those 16 hours, that is a lot more anabolic than that growth hormone spike that you get from fasting. So a lot of these people, whether they're intermittent fasting or they're doing keto, they always cherry pick the information, and that's what they put out there. So that's why intermittent fasting looks so amazing. That's why keto looks so amazing. But in the bigger scheme of things, calories in versus calories out. If you're trying to lose body fat, guys, you can do keto, you can do high carb, as long as you are in a calorie deficit. Right now, I'm not cutting, I'm not trying to lose weight. I am still eating a calorie surplus. Now, for about 2-3 years, maybe 2 years, I've been on a high carb diet, consuming anywhere from 400 to 500 grams of carbs per day, every single day. My calorie intake has been around 4,800 calories. If you guys want to see my full day of eating when I was on a high carb diet, just click the link in the description box down below. I'll link my full day of eating down there. I show you what I eat for every meal, and I include the calories and macronutrient breakdown. However, I'm now not consuming 4,800 calories. I've actually increased my calorie intake up to 5,000 calories per day of a keto diet. So protein and fat only, trace carbs. Now, when you're on a keto diet, it is going to be a lot harder to count and track calories. Reason being, if you measure 100 grams of oats, it's going to be pretty standard every time you measure 100 grams of oats. If you measure 200 grams of sweet potato, it's going to be pretty standard every time you measure 200 grams of sweet potato. Now, for example, if I measure 200 grams of Scotch fillet beef steak, the amount of fat in there is going to vary quite a lot every time. So you cannot be as precise with your calorie counting. Now, do you need to count calories in order to build muscle or lose fat? No, you don't, but it's just a guideline of where you are and what you're consuming. The majority of people who do keto lose weight because it automatically puts them in a calorie deficit by default, because you're removing an entire food group and you are reducing your calories that way. Not to mention, protein and fat is very appetite suppressing. So the more dietary fat and the more protein that you actually eat, it suppresses your appetite. So by default, a lot of these people who go on the ketogenic diet without counting calories, they automatically restrict the calories so much, which ends up in losing body fat. Another question that I get about keto: do you have to do cardio when you're on a ketogenic diet? The answer is yes and no. Do you need to do cardio in order to lose body fat and get ripped? No, you don't. However, cardio is a good calorie burning tool, and the more cardio you do, the more calories you're going to burn. The more calories you burn, the greater deficit you're going to be in. The greater deficit, the more body fat you're going to lose. What I say is look at cardio as a tool. Use it to burn calories, and the more calories you burn, the more weight loss is going to achieve. Anyway, so that's just my opinion on keto. Like I said, I'm not fully in ketosis yet. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it or not. I'm about 3 days in, and so far, so good. I've had no cravings. Oats, sushi, and fruit, my 3 favorite foods. I haven't craved them at all whatsoever. So we'll see how this goes. Anyway, some of the foods that I bought. Salmon, fatty salmon. You want to get the fattiest foods you can, and salmon is a great source of fat, especially your EFAs, which are your essential fatty acids, which the body cannot produce and which the human body needs. Now, when I get salmon, I usually get around 300 to 400 grams, no more than 400 grams of salmon at a time. Reason being, because when if I have 400 grams of salmon, that is a lot of protein in that meal, and that puts my total daily protein intake quite high. Now, if you're on a ketogenic diet and your protein intake is too high, you end up converting some of that protein into glucose, and your body runs off that glucose, which is not ideal. It kicks you out of ketosis. So in the liver, it goes through a system called gluconeogenesis, and basically it converts that protein into carbs, into glucose, and you then run off glucose instead of body fat and instead of ketones. So a big tip when you're doing keto, or if you're trying keto, is keep your fat intake low. Your protein intake moderate and your fat intake high, carbs low. Another food choice is Scotch fillet. Now, when I was on my normal high carb diet, I would be consuming lean steak. So it'll be the eye fillet steak. Now I'm trying to get as much fat in as I can, so I'm going for the fattier Scotch fillet. Lamb patties and beef burger patties. These are another two staples going to be in my diet. The lamb patty is slightly higher in fat. This is high in fat as well, but this is slightly higher. Bacon is another staple for me. Great, good source of dietary fat here. Cheese, I bought some cheese. To be honest, I'm not really a fan of cheese, only if it's on a burger or a pizza. I cooked some burger patties up the other day and I put the cheese on top. Wasn't that enjoyable, so I probably won't be eating much cheese. But if you are doing keto, cheese is a good source of fat, which is low in carbs. Butter. Butter is great for anyone on a ketogenic diet. It's just pure fat, basically. I had a coffee this morning and I put 20 grams of butter in my coffee. It may sound disgusting and yuck, but it's actually pretty nice. So don't mock it until you try it. And that's a great way to get in some extra fat into your diet. Put butter into your coffee if you're doing keto. I also put the butter on my steak, so I cook the steak up on the barbecue and then melt the butter over the steak. Whole eggs. Now, you don't want to be eating egg whites or anything like that because there's no fat in the egg whites. You want to be eating the whole egg, so the white and the yolk. Good source of vitamin E as well in the eggs. These are actually eggs from my farm. Another staple food on a ketogenic diet is avocados. Avocados, now when you're on a keto diet, you often lose a lot of electrolytes because when insulin is low, it makes it doesn't allow the kidneys to hold on to sodium. So your body just flushes out sodium and potassium and you end up losing a lot of water weight. So people who go on the ketogenic diet, the first 2-3 days, they automatically lose a lot of weight and they think, wow, this is amazing, I'm losing so much fat. Usually it's just a loss in a lot of water. And the reason being because with low insulin, your kidneys do not store the electrolytes and you just flush all that water out of your body. So it's really important to get your electrolytes in your diet. So I often, pretty much on most of my meals, I go heavy with the pink Himalayan salt. Now pink Himalayan salt is better than normal table salt. It helps detoxify, I think that's right, the body, and it's also higher in potassium and other trace minerals. So if you're going to get some salt, always go for pink Himalayan. Anyway, back to these avocados. Avocados are a great source of dietary fat as well as fiber. Now they do contain some carbs, but most of those carbs come from fiber, so that is all right. You still need fiber. Fiber is very important, so make sure you get fiber in your diet. Avocados are a good source of fiber. Same with nuts. Another reason why you want to be eating avocados is obviously potassium, which I just mentioned before. Super high in potassium, higher than a banana, and magnesium. When on a keto diet, it is hard to get magnesium in your diet, so always go for avocados as a super high in magnesium. I have at least 2 avocados per day. Fish oil, obviously, it's a great source of fat, essential fatty acid. Now, I have 8 of these a day, which is something like 120 calories, if I calculated that correctly. 120 calories in fish oil, and a lot of essential fatty acids from the salmon as well. When on a keto diet, you obviously still want to pay attention to consuming your vegetables. You want to be getting in your fiber. However, you don't want to go overboard on your vegetables because they do contain some carbs and you don't want to kick yourself out of ketosis. what I do, I buy these frozen vegetables from the supermarket. They're snap frozen. Now believe it or not, snap frozen is actually better than fresh because it's frozen right after it's snapped. It's pretty much what it's saying. So the nutrients are kept in there. Fresh is not always fresh, you know, it's been cut and then it takes a while until you actually eat it. So snap frozen is always the best to go for. So I buy snap frozen vegetables and broccoli. I also consume a lot of broccoli, another good source of fiber, as well as calcium, which you do lose on a ketogenic diet. And tomatoes, good source of vitamin C. If you don't know, vitamin C is a very important antioxidant that you want to be getting in, good for the immune system, as well as increasing testosterone levels. So that is a good reason to consume your tomatoes. Vitamin C. Another staple on the ketogenic diet that I like to consume is asparagus. Now, I usually buy the fresh asparagus because it tastes better than this frozen stuff. But there was no fresh asparagus there, so we got some frozen. I haven't actually tried these yet, so I don't know if it tastes better or not, but I wouldn't say it would. Anyway, asparagus is great for a ketogenic diet because it's a good source of fiber. It's also a natural diuretic, so it helps your body flush out water, which makes you appear leaner than you actually are. Asparagus also contains something called, I'm probably going to say this wrong, asparagine, something like that. I'm probably mispronouncing the name, but that helps detoxify the body, so that is a very good benefit of asparagus. Some more staples for my ketogenic diet: walnuts, good source of healthy fats. Almonds, another good source of healthy fats, especially almonds. They're very high in vitamin E. Vitamin E is very important for keeping the muscles full. Pro tip. And Brazil nuts. Now, I've honestly never ever eaten Brazil nuts until probably 3 days ago, and I love them. I actually had 100 grams of Brazil nuts the other day. Very good source of dietary fat. Very good nut to consume on the ketogenic diet. A peanut is probably not the best nut to consume on a keto diet because it is has a decent source of carbs in there, but you can still consume some, just in moderate amounts. Olive oil. Now, usually when before I was on my ketogenic diet and I was on a high protein, high carbohydrate, moderate fat, my fat intake was always around 60 to 70, maybe 80 grams of fat per day. Whenever I went out to a restaurant or whenever I cook steak at home, I would always say, no oil on the steak, please, no oil. Now, I just cover that steak in oil because olive oil is a great source of fat and you want to be getting that fat in. Water. I drink a lot of water. When you're on a keto diet, you want to be consuming a lot of water because, as you know, without carbs, your body loses a lot of water. So you want to make sure you're consuming a lot of water. I'm also on creatine monohydrate. And when you're on creatine, now a lot of people think creatine holds water, which is true. It actually holds water in the muscle cell, not around it. So if you're taking creatine, you want to be consuming even more water. Plus the body's made up of 70 to 80% of water, so it only makes sense to drink a lot of it. Another staple that I like to use for my keto diet, I also use this when I wasn't on keto, it's apple cider vinegar. Now apple cider vinegar has so many benefits. It's good for digestion, protein breakdown, fat breakdown, and it also prevents bloating, which is a common problem for most people. Another benefit of the ketogenic diet is it prevents bloating. Automatically, within 3 days, I've noticed there's no bloating in my stomach after I've had a big carb meal. Like some of my carb meals were pretty heavy. For example, I would have 100 grams of oats with protein powder and I'd have a piece of fruit. And that would often bloat me pretty bad. On this keto diet, you don't get bloated at all, really. So that is pretty much the outline of the keto diet, and that is what I'm going to be trialing out for the next few days. Like I said, there's no benefits from a keto diet to a normal diet in regards to muscle gain or fat loss. It is all about calories in, calories out, and meeting your protein requirements, which is 1 gram of protein per pound of your lean body weight. If you do, it's actually 0.8 grams of protein per pound of your lean body weight, but I round it to 1 gram. So if you do that, you're going to be getting the results that you want. In order to gain muscle, you must be in a surplus. In order to lose fat, you must be in a deficit. The only reason I'm doing keto is for not really body composition goals, but mood, brain function, cognition, better skin, being more productive through the day and all of that. So I'll update you guys in about a week or 2 weeks time when I'm fully adapted into keto, and I'll let you know how it's going and how I'm enjoying it. Anyway, that is the end of my keto video. I hope you found some of this information useful. Do I advise keto for the normal person? No, I don't, because you are just excluding so many foods. However, if it helps you stick to, if your goal is weight loss and it helps you stick to a calorie deficit and it helps you adhere to that deficit, then it may be beneficial. If you are giving up too much of your favorite foods and you're struggling, simply don't do keto. One more take-home message before I say goodbye. Make sure you keep your protein moderate. You don't want to be consuming something like 300 grams plus of protein per day on a keto diet, because no matter how much dietary fat you're consuming, you will not be in keto. Your body is going to convert that protein into glucose through gluconeogenesis, and your body's going to be running off glucose instead of ketones, which is going to defeat the whole purpose. Anyway, that is my video done. If you have any other questions regarding keto, just ask them in the comment section down below, and I'll reply back to you, or I'll do a whole nother video addressing that question. Anyway, if anyone needs help with a personalized meal plan or workout program, all that information is in the description box down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll update you guys soon.